Welcome back to On the Same Page. We are on Daf Daled Amud Beis, 4b of Maseches Taanis. We are 3 lines down on the page where there are the 2 dots. So the Gemara quotes the Mishnah. The Mishnah said at the end, it said, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says, Ha'over lifnei teva. That's what's quoted here. And what the Mishnah actually says, back on 2a, on Beis Omer Aleph, is Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Ha'over lifnei teva b'yom tov ha'achron shel chag. The one who davens from the Amud, who leads the service, the Chazan, on the last day of Sukkot, meaning Shmini Atzeres in this case. So ha'achron mazkir, harishon eino mazkir. Shmini Atzeres is the day that you start saying Mashiv Haruach, Morid HaGeshem, and the Mishnah says that the achron, the last person, meaning the one who's leading Musaf, says Mashiv Haruach Morid HaGeshem, but the one davening Shachris does not. So it starts at Musaf of Shmini Atzeres. And then it says, B'yom Tov Harishon Shel Pesach, and on the first day of Pesach, which is when you stop saying it, so then Harishon Mazkir, at Shachris you still say Mashiv Haruach Morid HaGeshem, Ha'achron Eino Mazkir, but at Musaf the Chazan does not say it any longer, and that's when it ceases, that's when you no longer say it on the first day of Pesach at Musaf with the Chazan's repetition of Musaf. So that's what the Gemara quotes, and the Gemara asks a contradiction from the next Mishnah. The Gemara says, Vira Minhu, we have a contradiction from a Mishnah, and the Mishnah is actually just across the page on Hey Amud Aleph. It says, Ad Masai Sha'aling Es HaGeshamim. Until when do you request rain? So seemingly referring to, right, we've differentiated between mentioning rain, which is praising Hashem for rain, which is Mashiv Haruach Morid HaGeshem. God causes the wind to blow and the rain to fall. And then we have the request for rain, which is in the bracha of V'sein, of Barech Aleinu of Shema Esrei, which is where we say, V'sein tal u'matar livracha, that Hashem should give dew and rain for blessing. That's a request as opposed to a praise. So the Mishnah says, from when do we start to ask for rain? Rabbi Yehuda Omer ad sheyavor Pesach. You don't start to ask for rain until, you ask for rain until Pesach has come to an end, until Pesach has passed. Rabbi Meir Omer ad sheyavor Nisan, or ad sheyetze Nisan. Rabbi Meir says it's until Nisan ends. The whole month of Nisan you still request rain. So the Gemara presents this as a contradiction within Rabbi Yehuda. On the one hand, in the first Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda said that you mention rain until the first day of Pesach, and here he's saying that you ask for rain until Achayavor Pesach, until Pesach has passed, seemingly till the end of Pesach. So the Gemara in the question is assuming that you would ask for rain and mention rain on the same days, and so it sees this as a contradiction. Rabbi Yehuda on the one hand is saying that you stop saying Mashiv Haruach on the first day of Pesach, and he's saying you don't start saying the same Tal Matar until the end of Pesach. So it's a contradiction. So the Gemara says, Amar Rav Chisda, Rav Chisda said, Lo Kashya, it's not a contradiction. Kan Lishol, Kan Lahaskir. There's a distinction. One is talking about requesting rain, and one is talking about mentioning and praising God for rain. And he elaborates, he explains, Mishal Sha'il Va'azil. In terms of requesting your Sha'il Va'azil, you keep requesting until the end of Pesach. Right through Pesach, you ask God for rain. But Lehazkir, but in terms of praising God for rain, mentioning rain, B'yom Tov Harishon, Pasuk, you stop saying it on the first day of Pesach. So there's no contradiction. The first Mishnah said you mention and you praise Hashem for rain until the first day of Pesach. And that's true for Mashiv Haruach Morid HaGeshem. And the next Mishnah is saying you ask for rain until the end of Pesach. And it's not a contradiction, it's 2 different things. Amar Ula. Ula responds to this sharply, and he says, Had Rav Chisda, that which Rav Chisda said as his answer, that he said, oh no, there's just difference between asking and mentioning, Kashya kechometz l'shinayim u ka'ashan la'inayim. He quotes the verse in Mishlei, but he uses this, as a challenge to Rav Chisda's statement. He says, it says difficult, it says painful in a way as chometz l'shinayim, as vinegar is to the teeth, and like smoke, like smoke to my eyes. That's a terrible answer, he says. It's like vinegar to my teeth and smoke to my eyes. Why? Because uma b'makom she'eno shoel mazkir. We find that there are times when even though you are not yet requesting rain, you already are mentioning rain. So for example, at the beginning, on Shmini Atzeres. On Shmini Atzeres, which is when we start to say Mashiach Baruch Moed HaGeshem, we are now praising Hashem for rain, but we're not requesting rain. And as we'll see, you actually don't request rain for some time after that. So if there are times when you mention rain, you praise Hashem for rain, and yet you don't request rain, so b'makom sheshoel eino din sheyehei maskir. So on Pesach, where we're saying that you should be requesting rain all the way through Pesach, shouldn't you also be praising Hashem for rain during that time, right? And he's asking it, but by giving an example, but really in svara, it's logical, right? That as long as you are asking for rain, it makes sense that you should still be praising Hashem for rain. You still want the rain, so you should still be praising Hashem for rain. So and he's just giving an example. We see at the beginning of this time period where you start to talk about rain, which is Shmini Atzeres, you already are praising Hashem for rain, but you're not yet asking for rain. First of all, it's Yantif. We don't have that bracha Borei Choleinu on Yantif, on Shmini Atzeres. But we'll see, and even after Shmini Atzeres, you don't start asking for rain right away, according to most opinions, it seems. So, and yet you still mention rain. So we see you mention rain. That comes first. That's a prerequisite to asking for rain. So how can you say that on Pesach you stop praising Hashem for rain on the first day, but you keep asking for rain until the end of Pesach? That doesn't make sense to draw such a distinction. So we're back to our problem. Then we have a contradiction. On the one hand, we have a Mishnah that says, Rabbi Yehuda says, you stop saying Mashiach Baruch Moed HaGeshem, you stop praising for rain on the first day of Pesach, and the next Mishnah says you stop asking for rain not until the end of Pesach. So how do we resolve this? So Ella Amar Ula. So rather Ula said, there's no real resolution. Trei Tanai Alibad Rabbi Yehuda. It's just two different opinions within what Rabbi Yehuda said. Two different Tanayim representing Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. They're arguing over what Rabbi Yehuda actually said. The first Mishnah said that you stop saying Mashiach Baruch Moed HaGeshem on the first day of Pesach, and seemingly that's when you would stop saying the same Ta'al Matar, and you would not say it on Chol HaMoed Pesach, and the intermediary days of Pesach. And the next Mishnah saying, no, you keep saying both of them until the end of Pesach. And that's how we'll resolve it. It is a contradiction. It's two opinions within what Rabbi Yehuda said. Rav Yosef Amar, Rav Yosef has a different answer. He says, Mai ad sheya'avor Pesach. What does the Mishnah mean when it says that you continue to say the same Ta'al Matar, you continue to ask for rain until Pesach has passed? Ad sheya'avor Pesach. What does that mean? Ad sheya'avor shliach tzibor rishon hayored b'yom tov rishon shel Pesach. Until the Shliach Tzibor, the representative of the congregation, the Chazan, who's leading the davening on the first of Pesach, until he has passed. Meaning, Rav Yosef is trying to say that both Mishnahs are talking about the same thing. Both the Mishnayos are referring to the first day of Pesach. That you stop saying, the first Mishnah says clearly, you stop saying Mashiach Baruch Moed HaGeshem at Musaf of the first day of Pesach. And the next Mishnah, which says, until when do you request rain and say the same Ta'al Matar? Until Pesach has passed. Rav Yosef reinterprets that to mean until the chazing of the first day of Pesach has passed. And so they're saying the same thing, that you both stop on the first day of Pesach. Amar le Abaye, we're in the middle of the first wide line. Abaye said to him, what do you mean? She'ela b'yom tov mi'ika? Is there such thing as requesting rain on the first day of Yom Tov? As we mentioned, you don't say that the Shemona Esrei, the Amidah of Pesach is different than the weekday Amidah. You don't say the same, you don't say Barei Choleinu, that bracha, all those middle brachos of Shemona Esrei. You don't say the same Ta'al Matar. So what would the Mishnah mean that from when do you request rain until the chazing has finished on the first day of Pesach? It's not true. You don't even request rain at all on the first day of Pesach. That doesn't make sense. So you don't ask for you don't have a bracha Baruch Aleinu. So would there be an opportunity to request rain on the first day of Pesach? That you say, this is the last time that you do it? So Amar Le in. So Rav Yosef responded, yes, there is an opportunity to ask for rain, and this is the last time on the first day of Pesach. Shoel Meturgaman. You know who requests rain? The Meturgaman. Literally the translator. But it's referring to the darshan, the one who's giving the drasha, the speech, the shir. So in his speech, in his drasha, he requests rain, and this is when he stops. This is the last time that he requests rain, on the first day of Pesach. So the Gemara asks, "V'chi meturgaman shoal davar she'eno tzarich l'tzibor?" Would the meturgaman be requesting something that we don't really need? Right? At this point, if it's time to stop davening for rain, so we're not going to specially insert and have the shliach tzibor, the meturgaman, the translator, the darshan, give a special request for rain on the first day of Pesach. The time to ask for rain is over now. So it doesn't make sense that we would have this special insertion just on the first day of Pesach. So we're back to our contradiction. We're back to the contradiction that the first Mishnah says, that Rabbi Yehuda says that you stop saying Mashi Baruch and seemingly the same Tal on or before the first day of Pesach, and the next Mishnah says you stay until the end of Pesach. So Ella Machavarta Kid'ula. The Gemara says, so rather it seems clear that Ula is correct, that the only way to resolve this is to say that it's two different Tanayim arguing over what Rabbi Yehuda said. But the Gemara is going to attempt another answer. Rabba Amar, Rabba says, I can resolve the contradiction. Mai ad sheyavor Pesach. What does the Mishnah mean that you say the same Tal Matar until Pesach has passed? It means ad sheyavor ziman shchitas HaPesach. It means until the time of shechting, of slaughtering the Karban Pesach has passed. And when do you slaughter the Karban Pesach? You slaughter it on Erev Pesach, on the eve of Pesach, in the afternoon. Actually around midday. So that's when you stop saying, that's what the Mishnah is saying, you stop saying V'sein Tal Matar Achiyavor Pesach until the Karban Pesach has passed. Basically after Shachris of the morning of Erev Pesach. And starting from Mincha onwards, you no longer say V'sein Tal Matar. Uketrilaso kein sofo. And just like the beginning, so too is the end. Meaning, Matchilaso mazkir, just like at the beginning, meaning at the beginning of the winter, on Shmini Atzeres, we mentioned rain. We said Mashi Baruch Morid Geshem on Shmini Atzeres at Musaf. Af al pi she'eno shoel, even though we're not yet requesting rain, we don't say the same Tal Matar at that point because it's Yantif, and as I mentioned, we'll see even after that you don't necessarily say it. So af sofo, so too at the end, just as we ease our way into requesting by praising first, so too at the end we ease our way out of requesting and we stop requesting first. We stop the same Tal Matar after Shachris of Erev Pesach, but we continue to say Mashi Baruch Morid Geshem at Mincha, at Ma'ariv, and at Shachris of the first day of Pesach, and then we stop saying it with the Chazin's repetition of Musaf. So af sofo, so too at the end, Mazkir, you will be mentioning Mashi Baruch, af al pi she'eno shoel, even though at that point you are no longer asking for rain, you're still praising God for rain. And that's Rabba's resolution when it says, until when do we ask for rain? Until when do we say the same Tal Matar? Rabbi Yehuda says until Pesach has passed. He means until the Karban Pesach has passed. And starting from Mincha and onwards of Erev Pesach, we don't say the same Tal. That is Rabba's answer. So the Gemara says, Amar le Abaye. Abaye said to him, Bishlam atchilaso mazkir. I understand, it makes sense that at the beginning you will praise Hashem for rain before you request rain. Because Hazkara Nami Ritzoy She'elahi, because the praise, the mentioning, that is an appeasement, that's a lead up to asking for rain. That's how we always lead up to our requests. First we praise Hashem, and then we ask Hashem for things. So that makes sense. You praise Hashem for the rain, and then you ask Him. Elasofo, but at the end, after you've stopped asking for rain, my Ritzoy She'elika, why would you still be praising for rain after you have stopped asking for rain? So Abaye says, I don't like your answer, Rabbah, because it doesn't make sense that you would stop requesting rain on Erev Pesach after Shachris, but then continue to praise for rain. Why are you still praising for rain? Praising for rain without asking for rain is usually a lead up to asking for rain. But after you've stopped asking for rain, it doesn't make sense to still praise for rain. So once again, the Gemara says, Ela machvarta kedu'ula. Rather, what makes sense is Ula's answer, that it's a machlokes, it's a dispute between two Tanaim as to what Rabbi Yehuda held. Do you stop saying Mashiach Baruch Hu Geshem on the first day of Pesach, like the first Mishnah says, or do you stop on the last day after Pesach, like the next Mishnah says, which in reference to V'sein Tal Matar, but those two, V'sein Tal Matar and Mashiach Baruch, will go together. That's the Gemara's assumption. And that's where the Gemara leaves it. So which one do we pass? Like, how do we rule? So says the Gemara, Amar Rav Asi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Halacha ki Rabbi Yehuda. The halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. And that's not clear because we have two Rabbi Yehudas, but as will become clear from the Gemara, it's talking about the first Mishnah. He's saying the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda of the first Mishnah, who said that you start saying Mashiach Baruch Morid HaGeshem at Musaf of Shmini Atzeres, and you stop saying it at Musaf of the first day of Pesach. Amar le Reb Zera le Rav Asi. Reb Zera said to Rav Asi, Umi Amar Rabbi Yochanan Hachi. Did Rabbi Yochanan really say that? Did he really say that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda? V'hatnag, but we have a Mishnah. The Mishnah says, it's a Mishnah later in the Masechta Daf Yud. It says, B'shlosha b'mar cheshvan shoaling as hageshamim. When do you start saying V'sein Tal Matar? When do you start requesting rain? On the 3rd of Cheshvan. That's the Tanakama. That's the first opinion. Rabbi Gamliel Omer b'shiva bo. Rabbi Gamliel says you start saying V'sein Tal Matar on the 7th of Cheshvan. V'amar Rabbi Lazar, and Rabbi Lazar said, Halacha Rabbi Gamliel. The halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel that you start saying it on the 7th of Cheshvan, and indeed that is the halacha in Eretz Yisrael, at least, that they start saying Mashiach Baruch Hu, they start saying V'sein Tal Matar on the Hebrew date, the 7th of Cheshvan. I mentioned the Hebrew date because in Chutz La'aretz, outside of Israel, we base it actually on a solar date, on an English date, which will be a discussion for another time. But indeed, Rabbi Lazar said the halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel. So the Gemara sees this as a contradiction. On the one hand, Rabbi Yochanan said that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda of our Mishnah, which is that you start saying Mashiach Baruch Morid HaGeshem on Shmini Atzeres, and seemingly you should start saying V'sein Tal Matar on the same day. That's or right after that, after Yantif. But on the other hand, now we have that Rabbi Gamliel said that you start saying V'sein Tal Matar on the 7th of Cheshvan, and Rabbi Lazar said that that's the halacha. So we have a contradiction that Rabbi Yochanan saying the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, that you start saying Mashiach Baruch and V'sein Tal Matar on, seemingly V'sein Tal Matar, on Shmini Atzeres, which I guess is the 22nd of Tishrei, and Rabbi Lazar saying that halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel, that you start saying V'sein Tal Matar only on the 7th of Cheshvan. So it's a contradiction. So Amar Lei, so Rav Asi said, Gavra agavra karamis? You're asking a contradiction of one man on another man, meaning we have two Amoraim here. We have Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Lazar. They're allowed to argue. You can't ask a question from Rabbi Lazar onto Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said that halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, and therefore you start saying V'sein Tal on Shmini Atzeres, or the day after, once you are saying a weekday Shemona Esrei again. And Rabbi Elazar said that halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel, that you start saying it on the 7th of Cheshvan. That's not a contradiction, that's a machlokas. Why is that a contradiction? Gavra, Karnavis, you're asking one man against another? They're two Amoraim and they're allowed to argue on each other. That's one answer. Ibaisema, or if you want, you can say, Lo kashya, that it's not a contradiction at all. Kan lishol, kan lahaskir. One is speaking about asking for rain, and one is speaking about mentioning rain. When Rabbi Yochanan said that halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, that you start saying Mashiv Ruach Umorid Ageshem on Shmini Atzeres, so that's Mashiv Ruach Umorid Ageshem. But he could agree to Rabbi Elazar that the halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel with regards to V'sein Tal Umatar, that you start saying V'sein Tal Umatar on the 7th of Cheshvan, asking for rain. Those are two different things. The Gemara asks, can you really make such a distinction? Amar Rabbi Yochanan. But didn't Rabbi Yochanan say, B'makom sheshoel mazkir, that when you ask for rain, that's when you mention rain. And the implication is that when you are not asking for rain, then you're not mentioning rain. So how could it be? So it would follow if Rabbi Yochanan seems to be saying that you only mention rain when you ask for rain. So if you only ask for rain starting on the 7th of Cheshvan, so that's when you would start mentioning rain and praising for rain, and not on Shmini Atzeres. And if you are praising for rain on Shmini Atzeres, then seemingly that's when you also have to be asking for rain, or right around then. So these two things, it seems that you can't distinguish, according to Rabbi Yochanan, between, separate the two. He says that when you ask, you mention. When you ask, you praise. And sounds like when you don't ask, you don't praise. And that you can't make two different dates for the two things. So the Gemara says, no, Hahulaf Saka Itmar. When he said that when you ask, you praise, he meant in terms of stopping. The start dates could be different, but the stop date, when you ask, you praise, and when you stop asking, you stop praising. But the start dates can be the same. That was said with regards to stopping. That's where he said that when you ask, you praise, and when you don't ask, you stop praising. That's when you stop. But the beginning, you can start on different dates. The Gemara says, really? But didn't Rabbi Yochanan say, Hischil lahazkir, maschil lishol. When you start to praise Hashem for rain, that's when you start to ask for rain, the same tal. Pasak milishol, and when you stop asking for rain, posik milahazkir, that's when you stop praising. So now you can't distinguish. This is a clear statement from Rabbi Yochanan that the two will always follow the same dates. When you start to ask, that's when you start to praise. That's when you start to ask. And when you stop both at the same time. So don't try to tell me that there's a difference, that Mashiv Baruch Umorid Ageshem starts on Shmini Atzeres, and the same tal starts on the 7th of Tishrei. You can't start on different days. Rabbi Yochanan is very clear that you always start them and end them on the same day. So how do we reconcile this? On the one hand, we have Rabbi Yochanan saying that halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, that you start Mashiv Baruch Umorid Ageshem on Shmini Atzeres, and we have Rabbi Elazar saying that the halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel, that you start saying the same tal on the 7th of Tishrei. Is there any way to reconcile these two decisions, these two psakim? Or do we have to go back to our answer that no, it's a contradiction, they're arguing? So the Gemara has an answer. The Gemara says, Ela lo kashya. It's not a contradiction. Halan halahu. One is for us and one is for them. Meaning, one is for us here in Bavel, here in Babylonia. We only start saying Mashiv Ruach Umorid Ageshem and the same Tal Matar on the 7th of Tishrei. And in Eretz Yisrael, they start on Shmini Atzeres. That is the difference, says the Gemara. In Bavel, Rashi explains they have lots of produce and fruit for all of Tishrei, so they don't need to ask for until the middle of Cheshvan. But in Eretz Yisrael, where they harvest in Nisan and they gather in Tishrei, so then they already, I guess, have a need for rain already right after Sukkot. The difference, I believe, is that in Bavel they still have their stuff out in the field. They don't want the rain yet until later. They still have it until the end of Tishrei. The produce is still drying in the field, so they don't want to ask for rain until the 7th of Cheshvan. Cheshvan is the month immediately following Tishrei. So after Tishrei ends, so they're on the 7th of Cheshvan, that's when they start asking for rain. But in Eretz Yisrael, they've already gathered in all their produce from the fields in the beginning of Tishrei, so already by the end of Sukkot, they're happy to start asking and praising for rain. And that's the difference. When it says in the Mishnah, when Rabbi Yehuda says that, when Rabbi Yochanan says that halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, that you start asking for rain and praising for rain on the Shmini Atzeres, that's in Eretz Yisrael. And when Rabbi Elazar says that halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel, that you start asking and praising for rain on the 7th of Tishrei, on the 7th of Cheshvan, so that's in Bavel, and it's not a contradiction. So the Gemara says, one second, Maishna l'didan de'islan piri b'dabra. What's the difference for us? So we have a reason here in Bavel that we don't start saying it till later because we have fruit still in the field. We don't want it to start raining right after Sukkot because our fruit is still in the field. So I get that. But even in Israel, they don't want the rain right after Sukkot. Why? Islu ali regalim, because they have all the people who make a pilgrimage for Sukkot. All these travelers went up to Eretz Yisrael. I went up to Yerushalayim, and now in Shmini Atzeres they're davening for rain. Well, they have a return trip to make. They don't want it to rain yet. They're going to get rained out on their way home. They're going to get soaked. So why would they start saying Mashi Baruch and V'sein Tal right after Sukkot, Shmini Atzeres already? They should wait because they don't want it to rain yet. They have to travel home. So the Gemara says it's a good point. Ki ka'amar Rabbi Yochanan bizman she'en beis hamikdash kayam. When Rabbi Yochanan said that they start saying it, that halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, and you start saying it on Shmini Atzeres, that's after the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. When there's no longer an Aliyah l'Regel, there's no longer a pilgrimage to Yerushalayim, so that's when you start saying it right away. But during the time of the Beis HaMikdash, you're right, they would wait. They would wait until Cheshvan in order to start davening for rain. So the Gemara says, Hashta da'asis lahachi. So now that you've made this point that there's a distinction between during the time of the Beis HaMikdash and after, so then you can answer the contradiction in a different way and just say, ha v'ha. Both of the psakim of the rulings are both referring to the people of Eretz Yisrael. V'lo kashya, it's not going to be a contradiction. Even though one paskind that you start saying it on Shmini Atzeres, and one paskind you start saying it on the 7th of Cheshvan, that's not a contradiction. Why? Because, as the Gemara explains, v'lo kashya, it's not a contradiction. Kan bizman she'beis hamikdash kayam. One is talking about when the Beis HaMikdash was standing. Then even the people in Eretz Yisrael would wait until the 7th of Cheshvan to daven for rain because they don't want it to rain because they have to go home. They don't want rain right after Sukkot. But kan bizman she'ein Beis HaMikdash kayam, when we said that the halacha is that you start saying it on Shmini Atzeres, that's when there's no Beis HaMikdash standing. No Beis HaMikdash, you could daven right away because you don't have people needing to make a pilgrimage to get home, and you can may as well start the rainy season early, right after Sukkot. Okay. Ask the Gemara, 4 lines from the bottom, 4th word on the line, it says ve'anan, de'islan trei yomi. So now let's turn our attention back to this idea that we start saying Mashiv Ruach on Shmini Atzeres at Musaf. So the Gemara asks, we, outside of Eretz Yisrael, have 2 days of Yom Tov. So how should we do it, right? In Eretz Yisrael, it's simple. Shmini Atzeres comes, you know it's Shmini Atzeres, and you start to say Mashiv Ruach at Musaf. But outside of Eretz Yisrael, where we have 2 days, so what should we do? Do we say on the first day? Do we say on the second day? Both? How do we do it? So Amar Rav said, Maschil b'musafin. So on the first day of Shmini Atzeres, you start saying it at Musaf. However, when it comes to Mincha, well, it may not really be Shmini Atzeres, right? Shmini Atzeres may not be until tomorrow. That's why we're going to observe a second day of Yom Tov. And even nowadays, we conduct ourselves as if we have that uncertainty. So Rav said, you should say Mashiv Aruch Moed Geshem and Musaf, but by Mincha time, it may not be Shmini Atzeres, really. So he says, Uposek b'Mincha, stop saying it at Mincha, Arvis v'Shachris, also at Ma'ariv, and at Shachris of the second day of Shmini Atzeres Simchas Torah, you don't say it. V'chozer b'musafing, and then at Musaf again, you start to say it, and then you continue to say it. That was Rav's answer. Amar lahu Shmuel, Shmuel said to them, to his students, those who had conveyed Rav's opinion to him, he said, Poku v'amar leila Abba, go tell Abba, that's a respectful term, go tell the Rav that, how can he say such an answer? Achar shel sisu kodesh ta'aseu chol. Once you've already made this day kodesh, you're going to make it chol, you're going to make it mundane, weekday, meaning, when you say Mashiv Baruch Hu Dageshem and Musaf of Shmini Atzeres, you're basically saying today is Shmini Atzeres. That's why I'm saying Mashiv Baruch Hu Dageshem. So then to say at Mincha time when it's still the same day, and not say Mashiv Baruch and make it back to Chol and say, oh, but maybe it's really Hoshana Rabbah, maybe it's really the last day of Sukkot, it's not yet Shmini Atzeres, so I'm not going to say Mashiv Baruch. You can't go back and forth. Once you say that this day is holy, you got to keep it as Shmini Atzeres, and you should still say Mashiv Baruch Hu Dageshem at Mincha. So Elamar Shmuel, so Shmuel says rather this is what you should do. Maskil b'musafin uvemincha. On the first day of Shmini Atzeres, say Mashiv Baruch at Musaf. Say it at Mincha. But then when it's Ma'ariv, so now you're going to do Shmini Atzeres all over again. Well, at Ma'ariv Shmini Atzeres, do you say Mashiv Baruch? No, you don't say it until Musaf, the next day. So now you do it over, and you posek Arbis v'Shachris, you don't say it at Ma'ariv and at Shachris of the second day, because you're redoing Shmini Atzeres, the Chozer Maskil b'Musafing, and then you start again at Musaf. And then you'll continue to say it for the rest of the winter. Top of the next page, Rava Amar, Rava says, no. Kevan shehischel shuv eino posek. Once you start saying it on the first day of Shmini Atzeres, you say Mashiv Baruch Hu Dageshem at Musaf. After that, you don't stop saying it. You say it at Mincha, you say it at Ma'ariv, you say it at Shachris, you say it at Musaf. You just keep saying it for the rest of the winter once you start. V'chein Amar Rav Sheshes. And Rav Sheshes said the same thing. Kevan shehischel shuv eino posek. Once you start, you don't stop. Ve'af Rav hadar being, even Rav, who originally said that you say it at Musaf, but then you stop for Mincha, Ma'ariv, and Shachris, and then only say it at Musaf again of the second day of Yom Tif, he was chozer. He retracted his opinion, and now he says, like these other opinions of Rava and Rav Sheshes, that once you stop, once you start, you don't stop. He retracted. Amar Rav Chananel Amar Rav. Rav Chananel said in the name of Rav, Mona Esrim ve'echad yom. You count 21 days from Rosh Hashanah. Kederech Shemona Asar Yomim Rosh Hashanah ad Yom Kippurim. Just like you count 10 days from Rosh Hashanah until Yom Kippur, and you do just one day of Yom Kippur. So you basically, you assume that your count is correct. So the same is true with Shmini Atzeres. You count 21 days, and then on the 22nd day, that Shmini Atzeres, you assume that your count is correct, and umaschil, and you start to say Mashiv Baruch on that day. And even though you're still going to do a second day of Shmini Atzeres, because maybe your count is not correct, but no, we treat it like it is, v'kivan shehischil, and once you start saying it, shuvei no posek, you do not stop saying Mashiv Baruch, and you say it for the rest of the winter. The hilchasa, and the halacha is, indeed, kivan shehischil, shuvei no posek, once you start saying it at Musaf of the first day of Shmini Atzeres, you do not stop saying Mashiv Baruch until Pesach, and indeed, that is how we paskin, that's how we conduct ourselves nowadays. Thank you for listening. We'll now take a couple weeks off, and we will resume on the same page after Sukkot.